I'm Nyesha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
Welcome to the Grassroots Business Journal, where social media links to small business. I am your host, Paul Wilusz, and this morning we have as our guest Adam Ney, the Assistant Director for Public Affairs at CBIA. Welcome to the program.
Hi, Paul. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. We were talking a little bit about about what CBIA is, some of the services that it's providing, and I know that we had talked about one of the aspects that you deal with is the legislative agenda. And how do businesses, how can they get more involved with this process? And I know you had mentioned that there should be more involvement by them, more participation. What has been some of the obstacles that maybe businesses are trying to stay away from? And how do you get rid of those barriers to allow more of business input into running for legislative offices or becoming involved with the process?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think there's a little bit of some disgruntlement out there amongst businesses that are, again, they're disgruntled a little bit that the process doesn't quite seem to be as fluid as they'd like it to be. Okay. And businesses can get involved in various ways. I always tell business, especially small businesses, treat elected officials as if they're customers, because they're going to be making decisions that are going to affect your bottom line in much the same way that a customer does, or a customer gaining a customer or losing a customer. So you want to develop that relationship with elected officials. And again, I'm going to suggest not only on the state level, but the municipal level. And if you really feel like you got to do it on the federal level, go for it. But you may want to have them come in and see your workplace. If you got a team of 5, bring them in. Show them, that you employ people, what you do, how you do it. If you're a manufacturer, definitely have legislators come visit your facility, that you tour it. We try to enhance manufacturing's image out there. It's not our parents. It's clean. It's high tech. It's team oriented. It's fascinating to me. So you want to develop that relationship with that legislator. I think there are some businesses, again, that have this. I can't change them, or I'm not going to be able to. Nobody's beyond redemption. And even if they, say one thing during the election, but they voted another way, and you've tracked that, and you're scratching your head saying, but they said this, but they voted this way. Don't give up hope. Keep on working with them. And then if it comes time that a legitimate candidate, or I shouldn't say all candidates are legitimate, but one that's more in line with your thinking and your feeling, even though they may be saying it, do a little homework too. Do a little background check on who's running for office in your towns. See what they did in the background. A lot of legislators don't necessarily have a business background, don't know what it means to make a payroll. They need help. They need to be educated on that stuff. So you want to work with them too. And when they do good, you got to thank them. You just can't expect that, it's the legislative process and that's what they're supposed to do. They've got a lot of pressures from different sources too, and sometimes it's a gutsy call they have to make on a decision that's going to affect business. And if it is a decision that we favor, we encourage our members to say thank you. Everybody likes to be thanked when they do a good job.
Now, is Connecticut a state that is bogged down with regulations against business? Welcome to the Grassroots Business Journal.
We are a state that is, and surveys have
social
shown
media
that
links
we've done with
to
our members.
small business.
We're a little overregulated
I am your host,
here.
Paul Wilusz.
There is,
and this morning
we've gotten a
have
little
as
better.
our guest Adam Ney, the Assistant Director for Public Affairs
have
at
seen
CBIA.
a better, more customer service friendly at the Department of Energy.
We were talking a
and
little bit about
where that used to be
about what CBIA
a place
is,
where
some of the
businesses
services
were
that it's
just
providing.
A 4-letter word.
And I know that we had talked about
better.
one of the aspects that you
processes.
deal with
They've
is the
implemented
legislative
lean
agenda.
protocols in their
And
process.
how do businesses,
which makes the businesses a little bit more encouraged.
How can
that
they
they're,
get more
becoming
involved
a little more efficient,
with this
so
process?
It's no longer these long
I know you had
waits
mentioned
for a
that
permit.
there should
that
be more
now they're speeding those
involvement
up a bit.
by them, more
Is it perfect?
participation.
No, but it's improving.
What has been some of the obstacles
on
that maybe
the
businesses
mandated
are trying to
healthcare
stay
side,
away
yeah,
from?
there's a few
and
mandates
how
out
do you,
there.
that
Get
rid of those barriers
regulations,
to allow
labor side
more
too.
business input into
Now,
running
is
for
their
legislative
voice,
offices,
maybe the
or becoming
disgruntledness
involved in
maybe
the
is coming from
process?
also the fact
Yeah,
that they're not being heard,
It's
or they're
interesting.
being,
I think
their
there's a
voices
little bit of
out
some
there,
disgruntlement
but legislators
out there,
are not
amongst
hearing them,
businesses
or
that are,
something along
again,
this
they're
line.
disgruntled a
What
little bit
are
that the process
businesses,
doesn't
are
quite
they
seem to be as
involved
fluid as
in
they'd like it
with
to be.
solutions
And
instead
businesses can
of
get
always
involved in
reacting
various
that,
ways. I
this
always
is too
tell,
much. Yeah, but what are
especially
your
small
solutions?
businesses,
Have they been
treat
giving
elected
out
officials
solutions
as
that are
if they're
going to be
customers
helpful
because they're going to be making
towards
decisions
legislators
that are
to
gonna
make the
affect your bottom
legislation
line
that's going to
in
help and
much the
benefit
same
them?
way
Yeah,
that a customer does,
through
or a
task
customer
force
gaining a customer or losing a
recommendations,
customer,
because we have really
so
good
you want to develop that
relationships
relationship
with the legislative leadership,
elected
they're always
officials. And again, I'm
developing
going to
task
suggest
force
not
to look
only
at
on the
things, and
state
they
level
always
but the
want us to,
municipal level.
identify
And if you really
businesses that can
feel like you got to do it on the
on
federal
some of these
level,
focus groups,
go for
task
it.
forces,
But you might want to have them
whether
come
it's
in
a
and see
commissioner
your
of an agency
workplace.
that wants to
If you
better
got
understand
a team of 5,
certain nuances
bring them
within the
in.
workplace.
Show them, that you
they'll
employ
give us a
people,
call
what
and
you
they'll
do,
ask
how
us.
you
We-
do it.
we appreciate that.
If you're a
We
manufacturer,
want more,
definitely have legislators come visit your
businesses
facility,
input
that you
into
tour
the
it.
solutions.
We try to
Like I
enhance
told you
manufacturing's
before,
image
through
out
our
there. It's not our
Environmental
parents.
Policies
It's
Council
clean.
on the
It's
regulation
high
side.
tech. It's team
We've
oriented.
got great
It's
working
fascinating to me.
relationships through that council.
So you want to develop that
with various
relationship with that
entities,
legislator. I think
that
there
where
are
we
some
bring in
businesses
guest
again that
speakers from, the
have this. I can't change
or,
them, or I'm not going to
the
be able to.
agency,
Primarily
to-
nobody's beyond redemption,
so that we can bring them
and
together
even
and
if
have a
they,
conversation.
say one
It's
thing
done in a
during the
very
election,
kinda,
but they voted another way, and you've tracked
hospitable,
that, and you're scratching your head
friendly
saying,
manner.
"But they said
Because
this,
again,
but they voted
they're
this
customers.
way."
We got to work with them.
Don't give up hope.
So yeah,
keep on working with
businesses,
them, and then if it
have
comes
been given
time,
more of an
that a legitimate
opportunity,
candidate, or I shouldn't say all
to,
candidates are
have
legitimate, but
input on
one
what
that's
those
more in
solutions
line with
might
your
be.
thinking and
might
your
be.
feeling,
Excellent.
even though they may
What
be saying it. Do a little
has,
homework too.
in regards
Do a little
to,
background
the
check on
sustainability,
who's running for
green
office in your
businesses,
towns,
and
see what they
how
did in the
can
background.
businesses become
a lot of
greener?
legislators don't necessarily.
It's
have a
interesting.
business
Connecticut has some
background,
of the
don't
greenest
know what it
companies
means to
out
make
there.
a payroll.
They
need help. They need to be
So
educated.
they're leading
on
the
that
industry.
stuff. Leading.
So you want to work with them
whether
too.
it's United
And
when they do good, you got to
GE
thank
doesn't
them.
have a lot
You
of,
just can't
manufacturing
expect
here. They
that.
still have a lot of employment here.
It's the legislative
They're
process,
an
and that's what they're
environmentally
supposed to
friendly,
do.
socially responsible
They've got a lot
company.
of pressures from different
Laura
sources too.
LeBron right down the
Sometimes it's a
road,
gutsy call they
another
have to
one.
make on a decision.
Aetna.
that's
Aetna's
gonna
actually
affect
pretty
business,
darn
and,
green too these
if it
days as well.
is a decision that we
and when I
favor,
say
we
green, it's kind
encourage
of
our
loose.
members,
They're
to say
embracing
thank you.
sustainability
Everybody
in
likes
terms of
to be
corporate
thanked
social
when they do a good job.
responsibility.
Now, is
but also
Connecticut a
looking at
state
economic impact.
that is bogged
They're not going to
down
all go run and put a
with
fuel cell on their
regulations
buildings if it doesn't make
against
good
business?
economic sense. But we are a
better
state that
management of
is,
waste
and
at
surveys have shown
manufacturing
that we've
facilities
done with our
throughout
members
Connecticut.
that we're a little
They're doing more with
here.
less.
There
And
is,
that's another
we've
part
gotten a
of
little better,
sustainability.
but for small businesses, it's really easy for them to look at best practices,
better, more
and look at the
customer
ways that they
service
can
friendly
again eliminate waste in their supply chain.
Look at their employees and
a
engage
place
their
where
employees and encourage
businesses
their
were
employees
just
to do
a
some
four-letter
volunteer
word.
things out in the neighborhood. That makes that
They've
employee
gotten
a little bit more a productive
speeding up
worker when
permitting
they know that their
processes. They've
company's
implemented
trying
lean
to encourage
protocols
them
in
to
their
do good stuff
process,
into the community.
which makes
its
the
energy
businesses
costs
a little bit
energy
more
costs are
encouraged.
skyrocketing,
And if
becoming
you
a little more efficient.
own
So
your own
it's no
building,
longer
or if you work
these
with a
long
landlord,
waits
we
for a
encourage small
permit that
businesses
now
to take
they're,
advantage of some of the
speeding those up a
programs the
bit.
state has to offer.
Is it
when
perfect?
comes to
No,
energy
but it's improving.
efficiency. And that's part of being green.
But yeah, on the
as well.
mandated
I think
healthcare
green gets
side,
used
yeah,
a little
there's
too
a
much,
few
and
mandates
I
out
prefer
there
corporate social
that are
responsibility
regulations,
over sustainability.
labor side.
But then again, sustainability also.
Now,
it's a
is
wide,
their voice, maybe the disgruntledness
a
maybe is
wide
coming from
spectrum
also
of
the fact
different,
that they're
things, but
not
yeah, it's
being
generally
heard,
energy,
or they're
generally
being,
waste.
their voices out
It also
there,
looks at
but
employee
legislators
engagement.
are not
And
hearing
that's,
them or something along this
Connecticut
line.
actually
What
does pretty
are
good in that area.
businesses,
in
are
terms
they
of corporate
involved
social
in
responsibility.
with solutions
In terms
instead
of, energy
of always
efficiency, was just
reacting
released
that,
last
you know,
week.
well, this is too much.
Connecticut ranks like
Yeah, but
number
what
5
are
in
your
the country,
solutions?
when
Have
it
they
comes
been
to,
giving
energy
out
efficiency
solutions
and
that are
how
going to be
efficient we are.
helpful
Wow.
towards
Wow.
legislators to
That
make the
does not
legislation
mention,
that's going
though,
to help and
cost.
benefit them?
Okay.
We
Yeah.
still are a very high
task
cost
force,
state when it comes to energy and
because we have really good
delivery of
relationships
energy.
with the legislative
What have
leadership.
you seen
They're always developing task forces
from
to
your
look at things.
tenure
They
and
always
your
want
time
us to
as
identify
far
businesses
as
that can
businesses
serve on some of these focus groups
or the
task
push to keep
forces,
businesses in
whether
Connecticut
it's a
as
commissioner
opposed
of an
to
agency that wants to
the
better
flight of
understand
businesses?
a certain nuance
what
within
has,
the workplace. They'll
what
give us
are
a call
the
and they'll ask us, and we appreciate
activities that are,
and we
that are
want
trying to
more,
keep businesses here in Connecticut?
of
You know,
businesses'
I
input into
wanna,
the solutions.
say
like I told
that
you before,
I
through
think
our
the
Environmental Policies Council
DECD
on the regulation
programs that
side,
the legislature passed a
we've
couple years ago
got
have helped.
great working relationships through that
They've
council.
allowed businesses to buy
with
machinery
various
and equipment.
entities.
They've allowed businesses to
that
do,
where we bring in
hire,
guest speakers from
quality
the
marketing
legislature
campaigns. They've
or
allowed businesses to move
the
to
agency,
newer,
primarily
updated
deep,
facilities,
so that we can bring them
so
together.
I think
and
that
have
that's been a step in the right
It's done in a
direction.
very
I
kinda,
do think that the
hospitable,
investment the state
you
has
know,
made in certain
friendly
businesses,
manner.
because again,
is
they're customers, and we got to work with them.
I think is appropriate.
So yeah,
I think what the
businesses,
state can do moving
have been
forward,
given more of an
and we've said this at
opportunity,
CBIA time in and time
to
out again. The best
have
message we
input
can
on
send
what those solutions
to the
might
rest
be.
of the
Solutions
country,
might
if not
be.
the world,
Excellent.
because we are a global economy.
What has, in regards
is that
to
lower the
the
cost of doing business
sustainability,
is the best message.
green
If
businesses,
we're making
and
the tough decisions on
how
state
can
spending
businesses
and
become
taxes,
greener?
lowering taxes.
It's
lowering
interesting.
state
Connecticut
spending.
has some of the greenest
If we're
companies
making
out
tough
there.
decisions
On
on the
environmental
top level
policy,
side,
on
So they're leading the
education,
industry.
Really,
Leading,
education right now,
you know,
whether it's
globally
United
is,
Technologies,
pretty much a top
Well,
priority
GE
for
doesn't have a
everybody.
lot of
And that
manufacturing here. They
workforce
still have a lot of
development
employment here.
stuff.
They're
Those are the
an
best
environmentally
messages
friendly,
we can
socially
send.
responsible
company.
An example,
Warren
visited
right
a
down the
company in
road,
Fairfield that's
another
owned by,
one, a company in Europe.
Aetna. Aetna's actually pretty
And
darn green too these
Fairfield
days as
person
well.
always has to go back to Europe
And when I say green, that's kind of
because
loose.
the people in Europe are
they're
like,
embracing
why is Connecticut
sustainability in terms of
40%
corporate
more
social
expensive
responsibility
to do business in than the rest
but also
of the
looking
world?
at economic impact. They're not going to all go run and put
so,
a fuel cell.
you know,
on their
you
buildings
gotta-
if it doesn't
and
make
that's
it,
another
you know,
thing,
good
especially
economic
with
sense.
manufacturing. There is some
But
foreign
we have
investment
better
in this
management of
state
waste
from
manufacturing facilities
Europe,
throughout
from
Connecticut.
Asia.
They're doing
companies that
more
are
with
based
less,
here.
and they have to answer
that's
to them.
another part of
And again,
sustainability.
the
But for
message
small
that we
businesses,
send
it's
to
real
those
easy
corporate headquarters
for
that
them
are
to
offshore, look at best
should be,
practices.
yeah, Connecticut's
and
poised
look at the ways
and
that
is
they
ready
can
to make tough
again
choices when it
eliminate
comes
waste
to,
in their supply
you know,
chain.
lowering and
look at their
leveling the playing
employees and
field to
engage
make
their
it more
employees and encourage
competitive
their
for
employees to
businesses
do
to, you know,
some
compete
volunteer
in.
things out in the neighborhood.
Excellent.
That makes that employee a little
I
bit
know our
more
time is getting a little
productive
short
worker
here,
when
and I
they know
did
that their
want to,
company's,
and we had mentioned here
trying to encourage
about the
them to do
workforce
good stuff
development
into the
projects.
community. It's energy costs.
I
Energy
wanted that
costs
to
are
be based here in
skyrocketing.
Hartford,
And if
at
you
Hartford High,
you know, own your
and
own
maybe talk a
building,
little bit
or
of that
if
to
you
our
work with a
audience, 'cause it's a
landlord, we
fabulous
encourage small
project here,
businesses
by the way.
to take advantage of some of the
We,
programs the state has to
along with
offer
CPAP, the
when it comes
Connecticut
to energy
Pre-Engineering
efficiency.
Program,
And that's part of
we're
being
challenged
green,
by a foundation,
as
the
well.
Worth
I
Foundation.
think green gets used a little too much. and I
bring
prefer
together a
corporate
group of
social
students at Hartford
responsibility
Public
or
High's Academy of
sustainability.
Engineering
But then again,
and Green
sustainability
Technology,
also
to
it's
see
a
if they'd be
wide,
willing to
a
design,
wide
build,
spectrum of
test,
different things, but
create
yeah,
and
it's
ship
generally energy,
generally
wind,
waste,
solar. It also looks at
energy
employee
array
engagement
for a remote
and
village
that's,
in Nepal that
Connecticut
didn't have
actually
any energy.
does pretty good in that area,
and to
in
possibly
terms of
fire
corporate
up some
social
laptops for
responsibility.
students
And
and a school
in
room,
terms of
a
energy
school
efficiency, it was just
house
released
there
last week.
that didn't have any
Connecticut ranks
energy.
like number 5
This
in
summer, the
country,
students worked on it.
when it comes to energy
We had 7
efficiency and how
high school
efficient we are.
students from, again, the Academy of
Excellent.
Engineering
That does
and Green
not
Technology.
mention, though,
We
cost.
brought back
Okay.
3
We still are a very high cost
alumnus,
state
who had been at that
when it
academy
comes to
from
energy
UConn.
and,
They were
delivery of
engineering
energy.
students to
What
kind of
have you
supervise the
seen
high schoolers, but there was also
from
some
your
mentoring
tenure
going
and
on
your
there.
time
We hired a
as
project
far
manager,
as
the funder, hired a project
businesses
manager, a former CLMP,
or the push to keep businesses
energy
in
engineer
Connecticut
slash,
as opposed to
workforce development
the flight
guru.
of businesses?
They
And what
bought all
has,
the equipment. They
what are the
built it
They tested
activities
at
that
Hartford
are
Public.
trying to keep businesses
They
here in Connecticut.
Then
I
built all their own crates.
They
They disassembled it, put it into crates, and the shipping was an interesting logistics lesson for the students too.
Okay.
To get
allowed
this
businesses
type
to
of
buy
apparatus
machinery and
halfway around the
equipment. They've
world,
allowed businesses to
you
do,
just don't throw it on a
higher,
cargo plane and say go.
quality marketing
So they had to learn a
campaigns.
little
They've
bit
allowed
about
businesses to move to
diplomacy,
newer,
logistics,
facilities.
in
So I think
middle
that's
of
been a step
October,
in the
third
right
week in
direction.
October,
I
it
do
finally made its way to this
think
village,
that the investment
which is
the
one of the
state has
highest
made in certain
inhabited
businesses,
points in the world in the Himalayas,
is,
and it is up and running
I think is
now.
appropriate.
There's laptops.
I think what the state can do moving
if anybody
forward,
would like to
and
view
we've
a
said
great
this at
video of it,
CBIA time in, time out
CBIA.com,
again, the best
right on our
message we
front
can
page
send,
on the right-hand side
to the rest of the country, if not
it's
the world,
a great
because we are a global
project
economy
that
now.
allowed students to
is
bring
that
relevance to what
lower
they
the
were
cost
learning
of
in math
doing
and
business
science
is the
class
best
to an
message.
actual
If
thing
we're
that they
making
can build touch
the tough
and
decisions on
change
state
lives.
spending.
Do you
and
see
taxes,
this happening
lowering
in
taxes,
other cities,
lowering state
for
spending,
other academies and
if
other
we're making
places?
tough
Do you see other
decisions
projects
on
coming out
environmental
from that?
policy,
Sure.
on
We're not
education.
the
It's
only
really education
really
right now
good story out there
globally
about student
is
achievement,
pretty
when it
much a
comes
top
to
priority for
project-based learning.
everybody.
There are
And
many
that workforce development
This
stuff.
academy happens to be part of something.
Those are the
called
best
NAP,
messages
the National
we can
Academies
send.
Foundation,
An example,
which stresses internships.
visited
which
a company in
stresses,
Fairfield that's
project-based
owned
learning.
by a company
NAF
in
was
Europe.
founded by Sandy Weil at
And
Travelers,
a
along with
Fairfield
George
person
Davis
always
was
has
a
to go
big
back to Europe
supporter
and
when
justify
he was chairman of
because the people in Europe are like,
Technologies.
why is Connecticut
and
40%
again, there are NAF
more
academies all
expensive
over the country
to do business in
that
than the
try
rest
to
of the
encourage
world?
Students to do this type of project.
And so
the one thing
you know,
that you
gotta
find is a funder.
and that's
though. This
another
was
thing,
not
especially
something
with
where
there is
this
some
stuff
foreign
just grew on
investment
trees.
in
We
this
needed a
state
funder
from,
this project. There were
Europe,
costs
from
involved,
Asia,
material costs
for
involved
companies
with
that
this,
are
the shipping
based here.
costs.
And they have to
We
answer
paid
to
the
them.
students. They
and
were
again,
paid
the
interns,
message that we
on
send to
this
those
project. We had to
corporate
pay the
headquarters
project
that are
manager. So,
offshore should be, Connecticut.
It's a wonderful story. You have to have all the moons
to make
aligned
tough
perfectly
choices
to
when
get
it
this
comes
done.
to,
We had a
you know,
funder.
lowering and
we had
leveling the
CPEP,
playing
which
field to
was
make
a
it more
great
competitive for
catalyst
businesses
for
to,
us as well.
compete in.
We had CBIA mentors. We had our CBIA
I know our time is
member
getting a little
companies
short
donating,
here, and I did want
equipment,
to, and
safety
we had
equipment,
mentioned
so that
here
was a blessing
about
for
the
us as well.
workforce development projects.
So in the end,
and one that's being based here in
these
Hartford,
students changed
at
the
Hartford
lives
High,
of
and
a
maybe talk a
remote
little bit
village,
of
but
that to
more
our
importantly,
audience,
I
because
think
it's a
these
fabulous
students,
project.
as
here, by
one
the
of
way.
the students said in the video, she doesn't want to be
along
big,
with
she wants to go
CPEP,
thank
the
them.
Connecticut
They gave them,
Pre-Engineering Program,
this whole project gave her an
we're challenged
opportunity,
by a foundation, the Worth
to start
Foundation,
a career,
to
a life,
bring together a
and,
group
you know,
of students at Hartford Public High's
to see
Academy
these
of
kids,
Engineering
we,
and Green Technology,
celebrated them at our
to see
annual
if they'd
meeting
be
2 weeks ago
willing
at the downtown,
to
Hartford
design,
area.
build, test,
There wasn't a dry
create
eye
and
in
ship
the house.
a
They got a standing
wind,
ovation.
solar,
The students
energy
were
array for a
And
remote
you've
village
got
in
student
Nepal
athletes there that
didn't
are
have
crying.
any
It's just
energy.
hysterical. But
And to
again,
possibly fire up some
those are
laptops
wins.
for students
And
in
it's
a
huge
schoolroom,
win. And,
a school
as an employee of
house
CBIA,
there
being affiliated
that
with
didn't
something
have any
like that,
energy.
I
This
was,
summer, the students worked on it.
involved with
We
a little bit.
we had 7
by getting
high school
members
students
involved to donate
from
and
again the
stuff.
Academy of
It
Engineering and Green
encourages me to go into
Technology.
work every day,
We brought back
when that
3
kind of stuff happens.
Hartford High alumnus
Well,
who had
once
been at
again,
that academy
we've
from
had,
UConn.
it's been an excellent
They were
program
engineering
today.
students to
Glad to
kind
have
of
you here.
supervise
Adam
to
Nate,
high schoolers, but
Assistant
there was also
Director
some
for
mentoring going on there.
Public Affairs
We hired a
for
project
CBIA.
manager, the funder.
Thank you for being
hired
on
a
the show
project
here today.
manager,
It's
a
been
former
excellent.
CLMP.
And we'll have to have you back.
I would love that. Energy
Excellent.
engineer
Excellent. We'll have you back
slash
here.
workforce
Until then,
development guru.
my name is Paul Wilusz. You've been watching
They
Grassroots Business
bought all
Journal.
the equipment. They
And
built
again,
it.
if you have any
they
comments,
tested
please feel free
at
to
Hartford
give me a call.
Public.
860-490-8856.
Then built all their own crates.
And until we meet again,
they
keep talking
disassembled
business.
it, put it into crates, and the shipping was an interesting logistics lesson for the students too. To get this type of apparatus halfway around the world, you just don't throw it on a cargo plane and say go.
Okay.
So they had to learn a little bit about diplomacy, logistics. In middle of October, third week in